The CIA has been tracking human-alien hybrid bloodlines for decades, but what John Ramirez reveals about the 2025 underwater retrieval program will change everything. Former CIA officer with 25 years of service says the government knows exactly where these non-human intelligence craft are hiding, deep beneath our oceans. In January 2025, military divers reportedly recovered an intact craft from 12,000 feet below the Pacific Ocean floor. The operation required specialized deep-sea equipment and multiple naval vessels working under the highest classification levels. What they brought to the surface has intelligence officials questioning everything they thought they knew about non-human technology and our planet's hidden history. The Pentagon's 2025 deep-sea discovery. John Ramirez dropped the bombshell during our conversation when he described what Navy deep-sea recovery teams pulled from the Pacific Ocean floor in January 2025. The operation took place 12,000 feet below the surface, far deeper than any previous UFO retrieval mission. Military divers discovered a large, intact craft embedded in the seafloor sediment, unlike anything seen in previous recoveries. The object showed no signs of impact damage that typically characterizes surface crashes. This underwater discovery represents a complete departure from previous recovery operations. Surface crashes leave debris fields scattered across miles of terrain, with most technology destroyed or severely damaged by impact forces. The 2025 Pacific Retrieval site contained a single intact vessel that appeared to have settled gently onto the ocean floor. Ramirez explained that underwater environments preserve non-human technology in ways that surface locations cannot match. The constant temperature, pressure, and lack of oxidation create perfect storage conditions for advanced materials. The classification levels surrounding this particular operation exceeded anything Ramirez had encountered during his 25-year CIA career. Standard deep-sea recovery missions typically involve commercial salvage equipment and Navy diving teams. This operation required classified submersibles that operated beyond standard deep-sea recovery limits. The diving equipment used could operate at crushing depths that would destroy conventional deep-sea vehicles. Multiple sources within the intelligence community confirmed that these specialized submersibles exist under Pentagon control for the most sensitive underwater operations. The first shocking detail emerged when diving teams reached the craft. Multiple independent sources confirmed that portions of the vessel remained operational after potentially decades on the ocean floor. Interior lighting systems activated when divers approached the hull. External sensors detected power emanating from the craft's core systems. This operational status contradicted every assumption about crashed or abandoned non-human technology. Previous recoveries involved completely dead systems that required extensive reverse engineering to understand basic functions. Sonar mapping conducted during the retrieval operation revealed the scope of underwater non-human presence. Advanced military sonar systems detected similar craft signatures in ocean trenches worldwide. The mapping data showed additional objects of comparable size resting on deep ocean floors across multiple ocean basins. These discoveries suggested that the January 2025 retrieval represented just one component of a global underwater network that intelligence agencies are only beginning to comprehend. Recovery teams documented unusual interactions between the craft and surrounding ocean environment. Water temperature readings showed localized warming effects extending outward from the craft. Ocean current patterns diverted around the object, creating a zone of relatively still water in an area typically characterized by strong deep-sea currents. The vessel appeared to influence its immediate underwater environment in ways that defied conventional understanding of deep-sea physics. The lifting operation itself required technology that pushed the boundaries of known deep-sea capabilities. The craft's estimated weight exceeded standard heavy lift capabilities for deep-sea operations. The specialized lifting systems brought to the recovery site operated on principles that remained classified above Ramirez's clearance level. Multiple sources described lifting equipment that appeared to utilize advanced materials or possibly received propulsion assistance from the craft itself during the recovery process. Technical analysis began immediately after the craft reached the surface. The vessel's hull showed no signs of corrosion despite extended exposure to seawater. Material composition defied standard analysis, with atomic structures that appeared to shift when observed under different electromagnetic spectrums. The hull maintained perfect structural integrity despite pressure exposure that should have crushed any known materials. Surface scanning revealed internal compartments arranged in geometries that seemed to maximize space beyond what external dimensions should allow. The craft's propulsion system analysis yielded the most startling discoveries. Traditional jet engines, rocket motors, and propeller systems leave distinctive signatures in their design and exhaust patterns. This vessel contained propulsion components that operated on completely unknown principles. No exhaust ports, fuel storage, or combustion chambers existed anywhere in the craft's structure. The propulsion system appeared to manipulate local gravitational fields rather than generating thrust through conventional means. Intelligence community sources confirmed that the 2025 underwater retrieval yielded technology that surpassed anything in previous government collections. Earlier recoveries typically provided fragments of systems that required extensive reconstruction to understand basic operating principles. The Pacific craft contained complete, intact systems that continued operating throughout the recovery process. These functional systems offered unprecedented opportunities to observe non-human technology in operational states, rather than reverse engineering damaged components. The preservation quality of underwater-covered technology opened new possibilities for intelligence analysis. Surface crashes exposed technology to extreme temperatures, impact forces, and environmental degradation that destroys critical components. The ocean floor environment maintained the craft systems in near-perfect condition. This preservation allowed intelligence analysts to study the technology while it remained functional, providing insights impossible to obtain from damaged surface recoveries. Military analysts noted that the craft's design appeared optimized for both underwater and atmospheric operation. Hull configurations that work efficiently underwater typically perform poorly in atmospheric flight due to different fluid dynamics. This vessel somehow achieved optimal performance in both environments. The propulsion system showed no separate modes for underwater versus atmospheric operation, suggesting a unified propulsion principle that works equally well in any fluid medium. The January 2025 Pacific Retrieval fundamentally changed how intelligence agencies approach non-human technology recovery. Previous operations focused on gathering fragments and debris from surface crashes. The underwater discovery proved that intact, operational craft exist in accessible locations worldwide. But the most significant revelation wasn't the technology itself. It was learning that someone inside the intelligence community had been tracking these underwater operations for decades and was finally ready to break his silence about what the government really knows. John Ramirez breaks his silence on 2025 operations. Ramirez spent 25 years in electronic intelligence, trained in radar reverse engineering, giving him unique insight into underwater UAP detection. His technical background in signal analysis provided him with understanding of the sophisticated sonar networks the military uses to detect submerged craft. Throughout his CIA career, Ramirez maintained strict operational security regarding active programs. He understood the consequences of discussing classified operations while they remained ongoing. His training emphasized the critical importance of protecting sources, methods, and ongoing intelligence collection efforts. The 2025 Pacific Retrieval operation changed his perspective entirely. Multiple sources within the intelligence community confirmed that the discoveries made during the January operation represented such a significant shift in human understanding that traditional classification protocols might no longer serve national security interests. Ramirez's connections to specialized underwater reconnaissance units within the intelligence community gave him access to information that most CIA personnel never encountered. His attempts to access the most highly classified underwater UAP program were denied specifically because of his documented interest in UFO phenomena. This denial highlighted the extreme compartmentalization surrounding underwater programs and the strict controls placed on personnel who might have personal interests that could compromise operational security. Internal CIA briefings about the 2025 Pacific Retrieval took place in secure conference rooms that required special access badges beyond standard top-secret clearances. Ramirez attended 3 separate briefings during February and March 2025, each focusing on different aspects of the recovery operation. The first briefing covered the technical specifications of the diving equipment used and the logistical challenges of operating at 12,000 feet below sea level. The second briefing detailed the electromagnetic signatures detected during the recovery process and their implications for understanding non-human technology capabilities. The third briefing addressed the policy implications of the discovery and potential responses to similar future recoveries. Decision to speak publicly about these operations did not come easily for Ramirez. His security oath bound him to protect classified information throughout his lifetime, regardless of his employment status with the CIA. The 2025 discoveries presented a fundamental challenge to this commitment. Intelligence community assessments suggested that the technology recovered from the Pacific Ocean floor could accelerate human technological development by decades or potentially centuries. Ramirez concluded that withholding this information from the American public might represent a greater threat to national security than discussing it openly. Ramirez's access to classified underwater tracking systems revealed the scope of non-human activity beneath our oceans. These tracking systems operate continuously, monitoring acoustic signatures, electromagnetic emissions, and movement patterns throughout international waters. The systems detect objects moving at speeds impossible for any known submarine or underwater vehicle. They track craft that can transition seamlessly between underwater and atmospheric flight without any apparent propulsion system changes. The tracking data showed consistent patterns of activity near deep ocean trenches, particularly in areas where tectonic activity creates natural hiding spots for large objects. Military sonar networks used to detect submerged craft operate on principles far more advanced than civilian sonar systems. These networks can distinguish between biological, geological, and artificial objects at distances exceeding 500 nautical miles. The sonar systems operate on multiple frequencies simultaneously, creating three-dimensional maps of underwater environments that update in real time. Advanced signal processing algorithms filter out natural ocean sounds, leaving only signatures that represent artificial objects or unexplained phenomena. The sonar data from 2025 showed a dramatic increase in unidentified submerged objects compared to previous years. Ramirez's electronic intelligence background allowed him to understand the technical complexity of underwater UFO detection systems. Standard underwater detection relies on acoustic signatures, but the craft detected by military systems often produce no acoustic signature whatsoever. They move through water without creating the cavitation bubbles that traditional propulsion systems generate. Some craft emit electromagnetic signatures that should be impossible to maintain underwater due to the conductivity of seawater. These technical anomalies suggested propulsion and stealth technologies that operate on principles completely outside current human scientific understanding. The compartmentalized nature of underwater UFO programs within the CIA meant that even personnel with high-level clearances might never encounter information about these operations. Programs operated under code names that revealed nothing about their actual purpose. Personnel assigned to these programs underwent additional psychological evaluations and lifestyle monitoring beyond standard security clearance requirements. Access to information followed strict need-to-know protocols, with individual compartments containing only pieces of larger operational pictures. Even senior CIA officials might know about one aspect of underwater operations while remaining completely unaware of related programs operating simultaneously. Intelligence community assessments of underwater UFO activity relied on data collection methods that remained classified at levels operationally sensitive beyond conventional deep-sea recoveries. Satellite reconnaissance provided only surface-level information about underwater operations. The real intelligence came from seabed monitoring stations that detected activity in ocean trenches thousands of feet below the surface. These monitoring stations operated autonomously for months at a time, collecting acoustic, electromagnetic, and visual data about objects moving through deep ocean environments. The tracking systems Ramirez accessed showed patterns of underwater activity that correlated with surface UFO sightings reported by military personnel and civilian witnesses. Objects detected moving underwater would often emerge near locations where aerial phenomena occurred within 24 to 48 hours. This correlation suggested coordinated operations between underwater bases and surface activities. The tracking data revealed that underwater craft could remain submerged for extended periods, potentially months or years, before surfacing or moving to different locations. The sophisticated nature of underwater tracking systems allowed intelligence agencies to monitor non-human activity with unprecedented precision. These systems detected craft that could operate at depths where human technology would be crushed by pressure, moving at speeds that would destroy any known underwater vehicle. The tracking data showed that these underwater bases have been operational for far longer than most government officials realized, suggesting a permanent non-human presence beneath our oceans. but the most revealing information about these operations wasn't found in classified briefings or secure databases. Sometimes the most sensitive intelligence appeared in the most unexpected places, sitting openly on desks where curious eyes might catch a glimpse of what the government was really working on. The technology that shouldn't exist. Ramirez described spotting a manual at CIA headquarters that insiders claimed detailed UFO propulsion systems. According to sources within the intelligence community, the document appeared decades old based on its distinctive DIA drab coloring that the Defense Intelligence Agency used for official technical documentation during the 1970s and 1980s. The manual's thickness suggested comprehensive technical documentation spanning hundreds of pages. If accurate, this would indicate that someone had reverse engineered a craft to the point where they could write detailed operational procedures for its propulsion system. The 2025 underwater retrieval generated technical documentation that dwarfed anything previously collected from surface crashes. Intelligence sources confirmed that operational manuals extracted from the Pacific craft exceeded 2,000 pages of technical specifications and engineering diagrams. These manuals contained information written in symbols and mathematical notations that human engineers are still attempting to decode. The documentation suggested that whoever created these craft maintained detailed records of their construction and operation requirements. Underwater recovery sites preserve non-human technology in ways that surface crashes cannot match. Surface impacts subject craft to extreme temperatures and crushing forces that destroy delicate components. The ocean environment maintains consistent conditions that prevent the thermal cycles that damage electronic systems over time. Saltwater corrosion typically destroys most human technology within months, but the 2025 craft showed no signs of degradation, despite potentially decades of submersion. The materials used in construction appeared immune to the chemical processes that break down conventional metals and composites. Reverse engineering efforts taking place at classified facilities involve teams of specialists attempting to understand technology that operates on completely unknown principles. Traditional reverse engineering starts with identifying the design intent of an object and analyzing its physical components. The underwater covered craft presented challenges that exceeded anything in previous government collections. Engineers could observe the technology functioning, but could not determine the underlying physics that enabled its operation. Teams dismantled sections of the craft, only to find that removal of certain components caused entire systems to shut down in ways that suggested quantum connections between parts. Materials analysis of the retrieved craft revealed atomic structures that should not exist according to current understanding of chemistry and physics. Laboratory examination showed elements arranged in crystalline patterns that remained stable under conditions where conventional materials would break down completely. The atomic bonds holding these materials together operated through mechanisms that materials scientists could not identify or replicate. Spectral analysis revealed isotopic compositions that did not match any elements found in Earth's periodic table. The craft's propulsion system analysis revealed the most startling discovery. Traditional propulsion systems work by accelerating mass in one direction to create thrust in the opposite direction, whether through jet engines, rockets, or propellers. The underwater craft contained no identifiable jets, rockets, or propellers anywhere in its structure. No exhaust ports, fuel storage systems, or moving parts that could generate conventional thrust existed within the vessel. Instead, the propulsion system appeared to manipulate local gravitational fields rather than generating thrust through conventional reaction mass principles. Energy signatures continue emanating from the craft months after its retrieval from the Pacific Ocean floor. Electromagnetic field detectors placed around the craft register consistent output levels that show no signs of decay or diminishing power. The energy source powering these emissions remains completely unidentified despite extensive testing. Attempts to locate batteries, fuel cells, or other recognizable power storage systems within the craft have failed to identify any conventional energy source. The craft appears to draw power from its surrounding environment through processes that bypass all known methods of energy collection. The craft systems appear specifically designed for seamless operation in both atmospheric and underwater environments. Traditional aircraft design optimizes wing shapes and engine placement for atmospheric flight, while submarine design prioritizes hull strength for underwater operation. The 2025 craft contained no separate systems for different environments. Its hull configuration worked equally well for cutting through water and moving through air without any structural modifications or system changes. The propulsion system showed no different operational modes for atmospheric versus underwater use. Specialized teams of scientists working on the underwater covered technology include physicists, materials engineers, and quantum mechanics researchers drawn from national laboratories and defense contractors. These teams operate under security clearances that exceed those required for nuclear weapons programs. Personnel assigned to the analysis work in facilities that exist outside normal government oversight structures. The teams work in complete isolation from outside scientific communities, preventing any peer review or external validation of their findings. The seamless transition between air and water operation suggests mastery of fluid dynamics principles that human engineers have never achieved. Aircraft moving from air into water typically suffer catastrophic structural failure due to density differences between the two mediums. Water is approximately 800 times denser than air, creating enormous stresses on any object attempting to transition between environments at high speed. The retrieved craft showed no structural adaptations for managing these stresses, yet telemetry data confirmed that it routinely moved between underwater and atmospheric operation without performance degradation. Technical analysis teams discovered unusual aspects of the craft's control systems that insiders hint at interfaces that defy our understanding of mechanical operation. Conventional aircraft and submarines require physical controls that pilots manipulate to change speed and direction. The underwater craft contained no recognizable control interfaces such as steering wheels, joysticks, or control panels. The absence of traditional control mechanisms suggested operational principles that exceeded current human understanding of vehicle operation. The implications of technology that operates through unknown principles extend far beyond transportation applications. The craft's capabilities suggested that its creators possessed understanding of physics and engineering that exceeds current human knowledge by potentially centuries. The propulsion system operates on principles that challenge fundamental assumptions about energy and the nature of reality itself. But the most disturbing aspect of the 2025 discoveries wasn't the technology itself. Intelligence agencies had been tracking something else for decades, something that connected directly to whoever built these craft and had been living among us far longer than anyone realized. Hybrid bloodline tracking in 2025. Insiders say the CIA once ran programs to trace alleged non-human DNA, though details remain classified. This surveillance operation focused specifically on monitoring certain family lineages, with intelligence analysts maintaining detailed records of genetic inheritance patterns across multiple generations. The program operated under compartmentalized security protocols that prevented most CIA personnel from accessing information about its scope or methods. Intelligence sources confirmed that the agency maintained databases containing genetic profiles, family trees, and behavioral assessments of individuals suspected of carrying non-human genetic material. The program to survey family genetic markers linked to UAP phenomena expanded significantly in 2025 using advanced genetic sequencing technologies. Previous DNA analysis methods required large tissue samples and weeks of laboratory processing to identify genetic anomalies that might indicate non-human ancestry. The enhanced sequencing capabilities allowed intelligence analysts to build comprehensive genetic profiles from samples collected through routine surveillance operations. These new systems analyzed genetic markers at the molecular level, identifying specific sequences that did not match known human genetic patterns. Intelligence community sources reported increases in activity among tracked individuals throughout 2025. Surveillance teams monitoring these families documented behavioral changes that suggested enhanced abilities or awareness among certain individuals. Subjects who had shown no unusual capabilities for years suddenly began demonstrating abilities that exceeded normal human ranges. These changes included enhanced sensory perception, improved pattern recognition, and increased electromagnetic sensitivity that allowed them to detect electronic surveillance equipment. The timing of these changes correlated with major underwater UFO recovery operations, suggesting possible activation signals being transmitted to monitored individuals. Geographic analysis revealed correlations between underwater UFO activity and the residential locations of monitored families. Intelligence mapping systems showed that many confirmed families lived within coastal areas where underwater craft sightings occurred most frequently. Families with the highest concentration of unusual genetic markers clustered around specific underwater locations where sonar had detected large submerged objects. When underwater craft emerged near coastal areas, surveillance teams documented increased activity and unusual behavior among nearby family members. These correlations suggested that underwater bases maintained some form of communication or coordination with individuals living on the surface. Sophisticated surveillance methods used to monitor these bloodlines extended far beyond traditional intelligence collection techniques. Surveillance teams installed monitoring equipment in residences, workplaces, and vehicles associated with suspected families. Electronic surveillance systems recorded conversations, monitored internet activity, and tracked movement patterns using GPS devices embedded in personal electronics. Intelligence agencies also deployed human assets who established personal relationships with family members to gather information about their activities, abilities, and interactions with other relatives. Medical surveillance involved monitoring prescription drug usage, hospital visits, and routine medical examinations to track any physiological changes that might indicate genetic activation or enhancement. The government's interest in children from specific family lineages intensified significantly throughout 2025. Intelligence assessments suggested that unusual genetic traits became more pronounced in each successive generation, with children exhibiting stronger characteristics than their parents. Surveillance teams monitored school performance, social interactions, and extracurricular activities of children from monitored families. Educational surveillance involved placing intelligence assets in teaching positions at schools attended by these children to observe their learning capabilities and social development. Medical monitoring tracked growth rates, cognitive development, and any unusual physical characteristics that emerged during childhood development phases. Psychological profiling of individuals with unusual genetic markers revealed behavioral patterns that distinguished them from baseline human populations. Psychological assessments showed that these individuals demonstrated enhanced problem-solving abilities, increased spatial reasoning, and improved memory retention compared to control groups. Personality profiles indicated that they often felt disconnected from mainstream human social activities and expressed unusual interest in scientific subjects, particularly astronomy and physics.